Hi, this is Esther with Discover Your Origins. In this video, I'm going to continue working on the Martin Harrison Corley and Nancy Rebecca Harmon family. In the previous video, I had worked on Mary Catherine Corley, and I was trying to find direct evidence that tied her to her parents, a document that showed her parents' names, or a document that showed that she also used the nickname Callie. Because the only record I have connecting Mary Catherine to her parents is the 1880 census, which has her name as Callie. I couldn't find any direct evidence or records that did any of that. Everything I found would be considered indirect evidence. And I did a little bit deeper dive after I finished recording, and I wrote this blog article, which I will put a link in the description box below, that goes into more detail. I've got some charts doing some evidence analysis. And then the biggest thing I found is that John Frederick, who is Mary Catherine's brother, marries Sarah Elizabeth Giles, who is the sister to James Warren Giles. So that becomes important because James Warren and Mary Catherine were married. So as we look at her brother John Frederick today, we'll look at and we'll see that his spouse is Susan Elizabeth Giles. All right. So we're going to go ahead and look at John Frederick. And so let me get there on both of my screens. Now, I haven't done much with John Frederick or John Corley on Ancestry yet, but I kind of go back and forth between where I start. In this case, I'm going to look in Family Search first. And I had done a little bit of looking at his vital statistics, and his date had been 1942, and that didn't match Find a Grave, which was 1943. So I changed that, and then I got some record hints appear. So the information that appears in the vital box here needs to be as accurate as possible to help the hinting algorithm in Family Search. Because once I corrected the year, these two records showed up. So let's take a look at them. Let's do this one first since it's on top. And this is a death certificate for John F. Corley, age 77 years. This birth year is a little bit of a question because we have his birth year as 1875, and that matches the 1880 U.S. Census. That the 1880 census is the first that he appears. So that is not right. And then the father is right, Martin Harrison Corley. His spouse is different. We've got a Mary Lightfoot, so we'll need to look at that. Here's his death year, and then we have the place where he died. Let's look at the death certificate. The information that appears on a death certificate like this is usually provided by the informant and not the person who is deceased. So this Mrs. Rosa Horn, who's probably his daughter, because he had a daughter named Rosa, is the one who supplied all of the information about his life. So for example, she said for his mother's name, John Frederick's mother's name is don't know. She didn't know her grandmother's name. She got her grandfather's name right. And then the birth information is mostly right. Like South Carolina is correct, but the year is probably wrong. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at a death certificate, is that it may have inaccurate information, and that seems to be the case here. But, getting the actual town name of where he died, his cause of death, here we've got another spouse, Mary Lightfoot, so we need to look for her. But anyway, and then this death index, it just repeats that information again. So the best thing we could say about the birth year is it's just 10 years off. It doesn't match any other records that we have for him. If we look here, everything is saying 1876, 77, 75. So that seems to be the consistency of that seems to suggest that the birth year is 1875. And then the World War I draft card is information that he would have supplied himself, because this is a document that John would have filled out. In fact, it probably has his signature or his mark. Yeah. Okay, so here's his birth year, October 3rd, 1875. Mentions his name, mentions his spouse, Elizabeth Corley, and right there is his signature, J.F. Corley. So he's the one that reported his birth information himself. So that's going to be the birth information that is going to be considered the most reliable, although he wasn't, while he was present at his birth, he wasn't aware of when it happened necessarily. Like, we don't remember for ourselves the day that we were born, but he's closer to it than anyone else. So we'll consider that the best date for his birth. And okay, so that's good. Let's scroll down and look. So we've got Sarah Elizabeth Giles. Now she's the sibling to James Warren Giles. So that's the connection between Mary Catherine and John Frederick. Here's that daughter, Rosa, which I'll probably look at later. And I don't have that second spouse. So I want to add on Ancestry both of these spouses. And I will let the Ancestry algorithm suggest record hints to me so I can get in more complete information. So there's the first spouse. So now I'll add the second spouse, Mary Lightfoot. All right. And then we've got 11 record hints on Ancestry. I wouldn't expect these to be any different than what's on Family Search. Oh, but we've got a picture, which that's cool. Let's look at that. He's rather handsome. Oh, he went by Uncle Bud. John Frederick Corley, Moultrie, Georgia. Ah, that's awesome. Okay, yeah, let's save that to the tree. This one I may or may not save. It's not a great picture, but because it's at an angle through glass, but that's probably Sarah Elizabeth Giles. If this is a picture of his first wedding. Oh, I bet it's a picture of his, well, hard to say. Probably not a picture of their wedding because of the clothes they're wearing. Let's look. Maybe. Hard to say. But there is a second picture there, so that's cool. Now, if you want to make a better profile picture, you can resize the profile image. And you can crop it and get a little closer headshot. Okay, so then when you're done, you hit done, and it should update the profile. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so I think a lot of these record hints are very similar to what is on Family Search. So I won't necessarily go through them. Oh, here is the marriage record. Let's just double check that. 24th of December, 1896. Let's see. Yep. Okay, we got that on Family Search, so that's good. So I will add that on my ancestry tree. And then there's a newspaper article here for John Corley. Who may or may not be our John Frederick Corley. It's a Law and Justice article, so makes you question what could that be. But I can't read that because I don't have a newspapers.com subscription. So I will add it as a source. Might put it in the maybe category because until I read it, I don't know for sure. All right, so then the hinting algorithm should start working for Sarah Elizabeth Giles. And as I work through, probably will be something from Mary Lightfoot that shows up here eventually. So there wasn't any earth-shattering discoveries with John Corley, but looking at him helped tie his sister to their parents, and also correcting the information which shows on the vital box on Family Search helped to bring about some new record hints, which provided some clarity and some questions, but some additional evidence about his death. So it's really important to make sure this information is correct as possible. And also some additional research that can be done. So I'm going to work on that this week, and then we'll come back and we'll look at Charlie Harrison Corley. If you would like to follow what I'm doing, you can subscribe to this channel, and you can also follow me on my blog, where I have articles that go along with the videos that have deeper analysis if you would like to know more. So I hope that was helpful. This was not too hard. So until next time, we'll see you later.